Good afternoon, welcome back. When I tell you I am the worst at keeping secrets, this past week has been hellish for me. I yap and I can't keep my mouth shut. So let's address the elephant in the room. I was on the Doctor Who podcast. This is quite possibly the biggest thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life. And I know that to some of you it's not really that big of a deal, but to me it means the absolute world. I'm so bloody grateful. I've done like a full vlog of this over on my TikTok. But I was picked up and taken to the studio. It was really fun. The studio is such a sweet environment. It's only like a small little space, but everyone was really friendly. Everyone was super welcoming. I didn't feel intimidated at all. I felt very comfortable, very relaxed, incredibly excited, if anything. It's so surreal to me. It's so surreal that I'm managing to make something out of being a doctor. You know what? It's crazy. I got to watch the episode Rogue, which I'm gonna talk about that, don't worry. We are still going to review the episode because there are things that I discussed on the podcast that I want to go into more detail about, because obviously they've got to stick to a time scale. I don't have to stick to those rules here, so I'm going to yap about it in a bit more detail for you. The hosts are super lovely. Shabazz and Nadia, they're getting way more flack than they deserve, because Shabazz especially is like a proper Whovian. We were like having like heated debates off camera and they were like, no, save it. He really knows his stuff. I'm going to tell you guys off. You guys have been giving him so much flack. You wonder why Doctor Who's going down the pan, and then they try introduce new audiences, which is what's going to save the show. And you guys are so hostile against them. It doesn't matter that they're new fans and they haven't enjoyed it all their life. Like, everybody's got to start somewhere. And Laura, my co-guest, was an absolute delight. She was super sweet too. And she is a very new fan of Doctor Who. But she came up with a really compelling theory for the next series, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. But I think the only way she could have come up with that is because she's got such a fresh perspective on it. Us long-time Whovians get so wrapped in our own ways that we leave important details out, you know what I mean? We forget about things that are actually quite relevant. It makes our theories quite close-minded in that respect. So it was really interesting to get a fresh perspective on it. And I think we should listen to the Nuvians more and be kinder to people who are trying to enjoy the show that we love so much. Because that's the only way the show's going to move forward, is if we get more people enjoying it, you know what I mean? I see absolutely no issue in this whatsoever. I had such a wonderful time on the podcast. You can see me, I'm sat there the whole time like, yippee! Half terrified, half just absolutely buzzing to be there. The set was incredible. I was fangirling over all the little props that we got to look at. I got a good look at Rogue's blaster from the episode, which was super cool. I love stuff like that. I love looking at Doctor Who props. Now, let's discuss the episode itself, because I have a lot to say. I've got thoughts. And I did talk about a lot of this on the podcast, but obviously there was 4 of us there. I didn't want to be yapping the whole time, so I'm going to just let rip here, because I've still got thoughts. Rogue was my second favourite episode of this series so far. Devil's Cord being first place, because I'm biased, because I love everything vintage. And I'm not a fan of Bridgerton. I've never seen it, so I didn't really understand all them references. But I thought this was a really good episode. I enjoyed the aesthetics of the episode. I enjoyed the plot line. I was engaged throughout. I think the pacing was a hell of a lot better. It wasn't perfect, but it was a hell of a lot better than what we've been seeing so far in the series. I love that the Doctor had a bit more screen time, so we got to see him shine a bit more. And it was great to see him in action again after 2 Doctor Light episodes. Which, that was such a stupid decision for them to make, I can't lie. Ruby did take a bit of a backseat here, but she has had a bit of a focal point in the series, so it was nice to let the Doctor actually have some screen time. This was one of my favourite performances from both Ncuti and Millie so far. First of all, as a theatre kid, I'm incredibly biased, because I am in love with Jonathan Groff already. But the character of Rogue, obsessed with him for real. And I would like to point out some very blatant similarities between Rogue and Captain Jack Harkness. They're both like American agent bounty hunters travelling through space-time just for money, for a job, you know what I mean? They're both incredibly fruity and flirty. I mean, Harkness is one of my favourite companions. It's my favourite cosplay to do. I love him. I love Harkness as a character. But I definitely think you could have swapped out Rogue in this episode for Harkness and it would have made no difference. Like, they are that similar, which I'm not mad about. It was really nice to see the Doctor have that sort of dynamic with someone again. I've seen theories that the agent that Rogue was pining over was Harkness before he left the Time Agency. Which is an interesting theory, I like that. And that the ring belongs to Harkness. Which I like that. It's a fun little headcanon, but I don't think it'll be true. My personal highlight for this episode was when they were in Rogue's ship and they were having a bit of flirty banter with the Kylie song. That was so good. I do not think it has any relevance towards Astrid and her character within the Who Devoted verse. Because he's quoted Kylie lyrics before, you know what I mean? In Idiot's Lantern. I don't think we need to think about that. That scene made me really laugh. And then the bit where all the Doctor's faces come around him brought tears to my eyes. Like, every time they do that trope when we have a new Doctor, chef's kiss. It's one of my favourite things that they do in Doctor Who. Check who I am. And then you get like a reminder of all the faces. But we had some new faces here, didn't we? We had the fugitive Doctor and the War Doctor. But then we also had Richard E. Grant's Doctor from the 2003... what is it, the Shaka Doctor or something? I don't know. I'm not too clued up in all that. But he did play the Great Intelligence too, but I don't think that's got anything to do with it. I think that's another Peter Capaldi Roman guy situation. I think the whole scene in Rogue's ship was really stand out to me. I really enjoyed it. I loved the villains in this episode. The Chulders were so funny. It really reminded me of like the Slitheen where they'd make a quippy comment before stealing someone's body. I said that in the podcast, but I love that kind of trope. As well as the special effects makeup, like their makeup was incredible. Like, I've seen the behind the scenes pictures of them sat with their makeup on and they look the same as they do when we see them on screen. Like there's barely anything added CGI in post. Like the makeup is 90% practical and it's so good. I'm so impressed. The corpse, after they've been like identity robbed, I guess, looked really good too. Like the special effects is so good. I like it when they use practical rather than CGI. That's very Doctor Who to me. I also wanted to quickly add how much I loved the references to cosplay in this episode. Some people might think it was like cringe or whatever, but I think it is insanely relatable for Doctor Who's audience, as there are a lot of Doctor Who cosplayers like myself who watch the episodes and think, I would like to be Ruby in this episode. That is such a relatable mindset, and to have that as the villain kind of sat there like when they go, I want to be the Doctor. I want to be the Doctor. I really liked that they're acknowledging us. Also, I want to point out when he says, how long do these people live? And then he said, like, I don't know, like 900 years or something. And then he said he like wanted them to like suffer that long. That reminded me of like in The Family of Blood when he like made the girl live in mirrors for eternity and turned that guy into a permanent scarecrow forever. So they'd live forever but like suffering. I was like, no, you've really got to annoy the Doctor to have that happen to you. You know what I mean? But I thought this Doctor was #healed, so maybe a slight overreaction. To be fair, Ruby has almost died in every episode so far, so it's kind of like, it is what it is at this point. The one critique I have for this episode, I'm not obsessed with how they played out Rogue and the Doctor's relationship. I liked that they flirted with each other. I liked the banter between them. I thought it was a really sweet concept that the Doctor was starting to like take a liking to him and like really take a shine to him and invite him along for adventures. But I think from the start point of the episode to the end, that happened way too fast. How did we get there? Like, how did we get to sacrificial love? I understand that the proposal was just like a stage thing to cause drama for the Chulders to fall into the trap, but I don't know. It was a lot in a very short amount of time. And where he's like, find me. Number one, they don't have the budget to get Groff back as a regular, you know what I mean? So I don't really know why they've left that open. And two, is the Doctor gonna go find him or will he just forget about him? You know what I mean? I really don't think he's that important of a character to be able to pursue that story. I liked it though, and I liked Rogue as a character, and I absolutely would not complain if Jonathan Groff was a regular because I love that man. And some of you guys are really mad about the kiss. Did you watch the 10th Doctor series and the 11th Doctor? They were going around kissing everybody. They're kissing everybody. They're just snogging left, right and centre. I really don't think it's that big of a deal. I think you're just being a bit bigoted. She said it. She said it. Of course, we got Susan Twist again in this episode. In the painting. She didn't actually have any lines this episode, did she? She was just in the painting. But the Next Time trailer heavily featured her, And this is what I'd like to discuss, my theories for the next episode, because I've got some thoughts now. So when I was on the podcast, if you go watch it, Russell T Davies gives us a hint towards the next episode and what we need to look at in past episodes to give us a clue. And he mentioned how Mel Bush mentioned to the doctor that UNIT use the triad computer system. Now we were like, what on earth does that mean? But we have since had an IMDb release of Susan Twist's character's name, which is Susan Triad. Let's rearrange the letters of S Triad. TARDIS. I think it's starting to stare us in the face a little bit. So UNIT are using a computer system that has the same name as Susan Twist's character, who has somehow been dotted through time, whose name is an anagram of TARDIS. We have the jigsaw pieces, I feel, but I'm not sure how to put them into place. Comment below if you have any predictions, because I'm losing my mind a little bit, I can't lie. I find stuff like that really exciting when you can like go like, oh my god, it's an anagram, you know what I mean? That's my vice in life. So I'm really excited to see what that's about. I've seen predictions. People have made comparisons to, like, do you remember Satellite 5? Where the lady was plugged in to all the TV series, everything was being streamed via her. Someone has said, I can't remember who, that Susan Twist is like something similar to that, very akin to like being plugged in and then broadcast through all these stories through time. Some people have even gone as far to say this whole series has been like a Truman Show style thing where the Doctor is inside a TV show, which I think is a very compelling theory. I'd like to see more evidence for it, but I suppose we'll find out next week anyway.
I also want to add that someone's made the link between SUTech being Susan Triad Technology, SUTech. So SUTech could be the one using Susan Triad as a puppet to stream her through the timelines.
Another thing we saw in the Next Time trailer is a quite obvious time jump into the future. If you look at UNIT in the giggle compared to this Next Time trailer, the Vlinks has had a full makeover. He's looking really sparkly, shiny and new. And also Rose, Donna's daughter, is working at UNIT now when she was a teenager in the giggle. So maybe it's been like a year or two. I have no idea. But I wonder why. I wonder what's going on. I'm so excited to find out. I've seen a lot of theories about it being Sutekh being the big bad, as in like the Egyptian god of death from Classic Who, and I don't agree with that because he's not really a god. I understand that you're trying to like link him with the Celestials, but he's not really a god, he's just an alien that the Egyptians then were like, whoa, he's got powers. And he's not really a god, kind of is, kind of isn't. The trickster theory, we've had no other evidence apart from that song that kind of sounded like the trickster theme, so I don't think it will be that. My most compelling theory so far is the Satellite 5 one, where it's the triad system beaming this woman through time somehow. That's my theory. I no longer think the Rani's going to be involved. I no longer really think that Susan Foreman's going to come back. Mel Bush is back. I love Bonnie Langford. Oh my god, what a woman. So those are my predictions for the next episode. I think I've yapped enough now. Super excited. I think I might go to the cinema to watch the final one too. Go watch the podcast. Hit subscribe for more Doctor Who theories and other nerdy content coming up. And let me know if you want to see anything else from me. Like, I am open to all suggestions. Within reason. I've got to go now. I'm going to be really late for rehearsals that I need to go to. I hope you all have a splendid week and I can't wait for the next episode. And thank you so much for all the support that has led me to be able to do these sort of opportunities and get on the podcast and stuff like that. I cannot explain how much it means to me. It means the entire world. Bye!